Sadeva Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, Text 6. Grishme Pancha Tapaviro
Grishme Pancha Tapaviro
Varasasa Asar Shanmunihe
Varshasya Rashan Muni
Akantha Magna Shishire
Akantha Magna Shishire
Udake Sthandile Shaya.
Udake Standile Shayaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Following the principles of forest living and the footsteps of the great sages and munis, Pṛthu Mahārāja accepted 5 kinds of heating processes during the summer season, exposed himself to torrents of rain in the rainy season, and in the winter stood in water up to his neck. He also used to simply lie down on the floor to sleep. So he's doing so much austerity. And these are some of the austerities executed by the Jnanis and Yogis who cannot accept the process of Bhakti Yoga. They must undergo such severe types of austerity in order to become purified from material contamination. So to control the mind and senses, he's doing these difficult austerities. But the devotees of Krishna, following the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, that's an austerity. Like today's Ekadashi, observing Ekadashi is an austerity for Krishna. So the devotees accept austerities in Krishna consciousness for the pleasure of Krishna. Panchatapa refers to 5 kinds of heating processes. One is enjoined to sit within a circle of fire with flames blazing from 4 sides and the sun blazing directly overhead. This is one kind of Panchatapa recommended for austerity. Already it's so hot. Then imagine being seated under the sun, surrounded by fire. Similarly, in the rainy season, one is enjoined to expose himself to torrents of rain, and in winter to sit in cold water up to the neck. As far as bedding is concerned, the ascetic should be content with simply lying on the floor. The purpose for undergoing such severe austerities is to become a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, as explained in the next verse. We have to understand that in Kali Yuga, we are not able to do such austerities. And for us, what is recommended is to hear and chant, hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Titikshuryatavadanta
Titikshurita Vagnanta
Urdhvareta Jatanila
Urdhvareta Jitanila
Ariradhayishu Krishnam
Ariradhayishu Krishnam
Acharatapa Uttamam.
Acharat Tapa Uttamam.
Maharaj Pṛthu underwent all these severe austerities in order to control his words and his senses, to refrain from discharging his semen, and to control the life air within his body. All this he did for the satisfaction of Krishna. He had no other purpose. So the purpose of performing any austerity is for the pleasure of Krishna. Whatever austerity we perform for satisfaction of Krishna. Fasting Ekadashi for satisfaction of Krishna. In Kali Yuga, the following is recommended: Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gati Ranyatha, Brahannaridya Puran. in order to be recognized by Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should chant the holy name of the Lord continuously, 24 hours a day. Unfortunate persons who cannot accept this formula prefer to execute some type of pseudo meditation without accepting the other processes of austerity. The fact is, however, that one must accept either the severe method of austerity described above to become purified or take to the process of devotional service recommended for pleasing the Supreme Lord Krishna. The person who is Krishna conscious is most intelligent because in Kali Yuga, it is not at all possible to undergo such severe austerities. It's true, no, it's not possible for us go to the forest and sit in the fire or dipping in cold water and wind. It's not possible to do such severe austerities. For us, if we can hear and chant for the pleasure of Krishna, that is what is recommended. So we can see the scriptures are giving us something which is suitable for us at our, for, suited to our capability. We don't need to say, oh, but in before ages, people used to perform austerities. But such severe austerities. Yeah, but before ages, they had different qualifications, and we don't have those kind of qualifications. We need only follow great personalities like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In his Shikshashtaka, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. All glories to the holy names of Lord Krishna, which from the very beginning purify the heart and immediately liberate one. So what happens when one chants the holy name? The first thing, one gets liberated. The heart gets cleaned of all the bodily concept, all the material contamination, and one gets liberated. Cheto Darpana Marjana. Bhava Mahādavagni Nirvapanam. The forest fire burning, the material world is compared to a forest fire that blazing fire extinguishes. That's liberating. Bhava Mahādavagni Nirvapanam, Sri Prabhupada writes here. If the real purpose of all yoga is to please Lord Krishna, then this simple bhakti yoga system recommended for this age is sufficient. It is necessary, however, to engage constantly in the service of the Lord. Although Pṛthu Mahārāja executed his austerities long before the appearance of Lord Krishna on this planet, his purpose was still to please Krishna. So one may say, oh, but Krishna came later, Krishna came only 5,000 years ago. How he wants to do austerity for pleasure of Krishna? Here Prabhupada is saying there are many fools who claim that worship of Krishna began only about 5,000 years ago, after the appearance of Lord Krishna in India. But this is not a fact. Pṛthu Mahārāja worshipped Krishna millions of years ago. Pṛthu happened to be a descendant of the family of Mahārāja Dhruva, who reigned for 36,000 years during the Satyug age. Unless his total lifespan was 100,000 years, how could Dhruva Mahārāja reign over the world for 36,000 years? The point is that Krishna worship existed at the beginning of creation and has continued to exist throughout Satyug, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga, and now it is continuing in Kali Yuga. So it's not that, oh, because Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago, so then doesn't mean that Krishna did not exist before. No, Krishna is God, He's eternal. He's worshipped since time immemorial. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna appears not only in this millennium of Brahma's life, but in every millennium. Therefore, worship of Krishna is conducted in all millenniums. It is not that Krishna worship began only when Krishna appeared on this planet 5,000 years ago. This is a foolish conclusion that is not substantiated by Vedic literatures. Any comments on this? Or any questions? Okay. Also of significance in this verse are the words Aradhyaishu Krishnam Acharat Tapa Uttamam. Mahārāja Pṛthu underwent severe types of austerities for the express purpose of worshipping Krishna. So Mahārāja Pṛthu, all these austerities are for what purpose? For him to get famous, or for him to feel, oh, see, I'm capable of doing so much austerity? Or what is the reason that he's doing so much austerity?
To please Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna.
Yeah, that's the main point. So Krishna is so kind, especially in this age, that he appears in the transcendental vibration of his holy name. As is said in the Narad Pancharatra, Aradhito Yadi Haris Tapasa Tatakim. If Krishna is worshipped, if he is the goal of advancement, there is no need for one to execute severe types of tapasya, because one has already reached his destination. If after executing all types of tapasya, when one cannot reach Krishna, all his tapasya has no value, for without Krishna, all austerity is simply wasted labor. So it's not that one is doing this difficult austerities, he's doing, that somebody is going to do some fasting or some, like from Pṛthu Maharaj is doing very severe types of austerity. It's not just to do the austerity, but the goal, as you just rightly mentioned, for the pleasure of Krishna. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam Bhagavatam 1-8. That's what Bhagavatam is saying. We should therefore not be discouraged just because we cannot go to the forest and practice severe austerities. Our life is so short that we must strictly adhere to the principles laid down by the Vaishnava Acharyas and peacefully execute Krishna consciousness. There is no need to become despondent. Narottam Das Thakur recommends Ananda Bala Hari Bhaja Vrindavana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Maja Iya Mana. For a transcendental blissful life, chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Come, worship the holy place of Vrindavan, and always engage in the service of the Lord, of the spiritual master, and of the Vaishnavas. So very easily, Krishna has given this process to us so that we can also come back to him, chanting the holy name, hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore very safe and easy. We have only to execute the order of the Lord and fully surrender unto Him. We have only to execute the order of the spiritual master, preach Krishna consciousness, and follow in the path of the Vaishnavas. So, following in the footsteps of the Mahājans, of the Vaishnavas, not imitating. We cannot imitate Pṛthu Maharaj. He's sitting in the fire and dipping himself in cold water. We can't. But we can follow his instruction. He's doing all the austerity to please Krishna. So whatever austerity we do it for the pleasure of Krishna. Our chanting for the pleasure of Krishna. Our hearing for the pleasure of Krishna. The spiritual master represents both Lord Krishna and the Vaishnavas. Therefore, by following the instructions of the spiritual master and by chanting Hare Krishna, everything will be all right. So the bona fide spiritual master, he is Krishna's representative. He is empowered by Krishna to give us Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is saying, by following the order of chanting Hare Krishna, everything will be all right. Prabhupada would say, chant and be happy. Chant and be happy. Tena kramano siddhena
Tena krama anusiddhena
Vasta karma mala shaya
dvasta karma mal ashaya
pranayame saniruddha
pranayame samnaruddha
shadvargashchina bandhanaha.
yatvargachina
Bandhana.
By thus practicing severe austerities, Mahārāja Pṛthu gradually became steadfast in spiritual life and completely free of all desires for fruitive activities. He also practiced breathing exercises to control his mind and senses, and by such control, he became completely free from all desires for fruitive activity. The word pranayama is very important in this verse because the Hatha yogis and Ashtanga yogis practice pranayam, but generally do not know the purpose behind it. The purpose of pranayam or mystic yoga is to stop the mind and senses from engaging in fruitive activities, is to control the mind and senses, to bring it in the control of the self. Otherwise, the mind and senses is running everywhere, wanting to do this and that. But it is to stop from fruitive activities, means trying um, to enjoy the result of the activities. Then one will say, what is so bad in enjoying the result? We all want to enjoy. Why shouldn't we do that? Well, because it's going to create more and more lives for us in this material world. And so one may say, but I'm still at this stage. I don't know what to do. Well, we are at that stage. We just continue to hear and chant. The more we chant, the more we hear, gradually, our heart gets cleansed. The so-called yogis who practice in Western countries have no idea of this. The aim of pranayam is not to make the body strong and fit for working hard. The aim is worship of Krishna. In the previous verse, it was specifically mentioned that whatever austerity, pranayam, and mystic yoga practices Pṛthu Mahārāja were performed for the sake of worshipping Krishna. Thus, Pṛthu Mahārāja serves as a perfect example for yogis also. Whatever he did to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. The minds of those who are addicted to fruitive activity are always filled with unclean desires. Fruitive activities are symptomatic of our polluted desire to dominate material nature. As long as one continues to be subject to polluted desires, he has to accept one material body after another. So-called yogis, without knowledge of the real purpose of yoga, practice it in order to keep the body fit. Thus they engage themselves in fruitive activities, and thus they are bound by desire to accept another body. So Srila Prabhupada, because at that time, this yoga was coming new to the Western world. Everyone was thinking, what is this? Yoga. Everyone wanted to understand. But Prabhupada is saying it's actually for the purpose of controlling the mind and senses. That is the purpose of yoga. Sure, we want to make the body strong. Of course, exercise is needed, proper diet is needed. But understanding that yoga is not just exercise of the body, but to link with Krishna. They are not aware that the ultimate goal of life is to approach Krishna in order to save such yogis from wandering throughout the different species of life. The Shastras warn that in this age, such yogic practice is simply a waste of time. The only means of elevation is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. So if we think that by doing this kind of stretches that we will be able to reach Krishna, that's not going to happen. The only way in this age of Kali Yuga, that's why it's stressed 3 times. There's no other way, no other way, no other. Brahan Purana is saying 3 times. There's no other way other than chanting the Hare Krishna mantra to get perfection. King Pṛthu's activities took place in Satyug, and in this age, this practice of yoga is misunderstood by fallen souls who are not capable of practicing anything. Consequently, the Shastras enjoin, Kalau nasteva 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 gatiranyatha. The conclusion is that unless the karmis, jnanis and yogis come to the point of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Their so-called austerities and yoga have no value. Naradita, if Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not worshipped, there is no point in practicing meditational yoga, performing karma yoga, or culturing empiric knowledge. So Prabhupada is saying, if one is, whatever path one is taking, it could be of karma yoga or of jnana yoga or of dhyan yoga, but have to come to bhakti yoga in order to get the perfection of that process. As far as pranayam is concerned, chanting of the holy name of the Lord and dancing in ecstasy are also considered pranayam. In a previous verse, Sanat Kumar instructed Mahārāja Pṛthu to engage constantly in the service of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Yat pada pankaja palasha vilasa bhaktya karma shayam grathitam udgrathayanti shanta. Only by worshipping Vasudeva can one become free from the desires of fruitive activities. Outside of worshipping Vasudeva, the yogis and jnanis cannot attain freedom from such desires. So, means how can we give up our material desire? Only by worshipping Krishna. But one may say, I don't want to give up my material desires. I still like my material desires. Then Bhagavatam says, never mind, you still worship Krishna. Whatever is our position, we have so many material desires. Bhagavatam says, you still worship Krishna. Tadvanna rikta matayo yatayo priruddha shruto ganas tam aranam bhaja vasudevam. Bhagavatam 4:22-39. Here the word pranayam does not refer to any ulterior motive. The actual aim is to strengthen the mind and senses in order to engage them in devotional service. So like how we were hearing in the third canto, instructions by Lord Kapila Dev, he was saying the yoga process, pranayam, and then controlling the mind and the senses. All that was to fix the mind on Paramatma, on Lord Vishnu. So meditation is never on something void or some zero or something black or some light or imagining something. No. Meditation is always on Krishna, the beautiful form of Krishna or Lord Vishnu. In the present age, this determination can be very easily acquired simply by chanting the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we can see how kind Krishna is, If we were to do austerities, as we are hearing Pṛthu Mahārāja is doing, he barely was eating, barely breathing also, barely drinking any water, we would say, oh, no way. How can we do it? But Krishna is kind. He is telling us, just chant. Just chant. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter what Caitanya says. Doesn't matter what we are doing. Just chant. And if we can tell others to chant also, so that even they can go back home, back to Godhead. Any questions or comments?
All good.
Thank you so much. Listening and joining in. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.